Hello and welcome back to BSA Talks. I'm Dave Ross, and we have an interesting topic for you today.
Alrighty, Dave. Well, I actually wanted to talk to you about this for a very long time because the amount of success that you had in your life, being an entrepreneur, being the owner of multiple startup companies and tech companies that are currently still making money and making differences in the world that we live. I wanted to ask you, how does being religious has helped you through your companies?
You are, in a way, asking the wrong question. I'm not religious. I'm a believer. I want to share with you something that I've been working on for a long time that is very important to me, and that is a Discord channel for business. On it, there will be a lot of free information, but also access to me. So you can have the ability to ask me questions, and I can respond to your particular problems and difficulties, and also help you get started. I'm really looking forward to being able to interact with you individually on there. I look forward to seeing everybody on there, and I will be waiting for you. Now, let's get back to our video. Religion qua religion, as a set of rituals or practices or things to do, means very little to me, in separation from the teachings of the church and the doctrines of the church. They are where the truth is. For me, it sets the goal for how I treat people. I don't do it perfectly, but I try. It sets the goal for how I should use people in my employment, which means to treat them as partners, not as slaves. That in the final analysis, it's the person that's more important than the job, for mine and theirs. Now, that doesn't mean you don't expect them to perform. That doesn't mean that you don't expect them to be honest and all of those sorts of things. You absolutely do. But being a Christian causes me to see in every other human being I ever met the image of God, because it's there. However clouded, however covered in mud, it's there. And to be honest, there's a lot of mud on my image too. So I have no business passing judgment on someone else. I can pass judgment on their actions, but that shows up for me is in a company, making sure that your company is ethical, that it has a reputation for honesty that is well deserved, that you do things square. It doesn't mean you're not a clever competitor. It doesn't mean that you don't work hard. It doesn't mean you don't use the law to the fullest extent as possible. But it does mean that you keep in mind that the person on the other side of this conversation, if you were to see them 500 years from now, would either be a horror out of your worst nightmare or a being you'd be tempted to worship. Every human being will become one of those two things. And if you remember that that's what you're dealing with, it helps you keep your head on straight. I have a little ritual I go through in my own head, which is when I'm in a difficult situation, or I'm having to deal with somebody who's a jerk. How will I look back on this from heaven? What is this moment? What is its fixture in eternity? And looking at it from that perspective, all of a sudden, some things that were terribly important, not important at all, and other things that weren't important, like the state of that person's soul, suddenly become of the ultimate importance. And that can change my attitude towards dealing with people and to dealing with a situation, and to look harder. So, for example, if somebody's acting out and doing bad things, you can punish them for doing that, and most of the time you probably should. But it also helps you dig a little bit deeper and figure out why. There may be something going on. I'll give you an example. There was a guy when I was in high school who was a bully. Flat out, he was a bully. He was a jerk. He was a bully. He beat up on people. He never did anything really horrible, like, hurt somebody badly or anything, but he was a complete jerk. It was years later, I found out that he was being beaten at home. And all of a sudden, the world reversed, and I said, he was probably behaved better than he could have expected. And by the way, as time went by, he completely changed. But being religious, or more precisely, subscribing to the tenets of the religion that I subscribe to, which is Christianity, causes me to look at other people in the light of eternity. Not always, not flawlessly, but at least some of the time.
Dave, can you share a moment when your faith helped you through something very, very difficult?
Yeah, do that rather easily. I'm going in for surgery for adenocarcinoma, lung cancer. This is 3.5 years ago now. It's stage 3. It's very likely that it is spread, although we haven't found it yet. There's a reasonable chance I'm going to die of this, not on the operating table, but from this disease. And of course, I prayed about it. I go into the room where they're going to operate on me, and I realize I am not in the least afraid or concerned. Just as though I'm just seeing, this sounds interesting. I wonder what that piece of equipment does. I wonder what the anesthesia is going to feel like. And I was tremendously surprised. We talk in Christianity about the peace that passes all understanding. Well, I definitely have felt that. And that's a transformative thing that comes to you on the inside, but it doesn't come from the inside. It comes from outside. And that is one place where my religion, where my Creator has blessed me in seeing very clearly. I'm in His hands if I live or die. I don't have to worry. I don't have to fear. My concerns are not my ultimate state. My concerns are, how do I please Him? How do I be what I ought to be? How do I be what I was made to be?
Do you think people are afraid of death, or they're just afraid of the unknown after?
No, I'm with Woody Allen. It's not death that bothers me; it's dying. But I don't think people are all that afraid of death because I don't think they believe in it, especially younger people. Younger people don't spend, if they're not insane, don't spend a great deal of time thinking about dying, nor should they. And interestingly enough, older people do, but they don't worry about it as much usually, because they've already come to the conclusion either that nothing happens or that they're already covered. So that, I think, getting to that place where you are comfortable in your own set of beliefs and in your own skin is greatly helped by having someone on the outside pulling you. And I believe God does. I believe God calls us.
What personal values have you gained through your faith?
I always had the lip service for treat everyone well, love your neighbor as yourself, all those things. I paid lip service to it even before I became a Christian. Probably from growing up in a nominally Christian household, I suppose. But I didn't know what it meant. I didn't really know what it meant. I didn't know that you had to make an effort to figure out what it is that you need to do to show love to this person, to love this person as yourself. You know what's going on in your own head, but you sure as heck don't know what's going on in theirs. I remember, and this is not to toot my own horn as some great virtue, but it's a difference in perception that you can see. I had an employee, very valuable mathematician working for me, and her father was a Holocaust survivor, and he was dying. And she, of course, had 90-11 projects that were due next week, and it was completely swamping her. And she's going, how can I go to be with my father when I have all these responsibilities? And I said to her, I don't give a damn about your responsibilities. Get on the next plane home, and come back when it's over, and don't worry about it in the meantime. And she did, and somehow everything got handled. And when she came back, she was remarkably grateful. But I had to get inside her head, see the the relationship with her father was stormy at best, and that she needed that as a closure. And she got it. And she got it because I paid attention. It would have been so easy to say, well, yeah, you don't worry about it.
You don't have a great relationship with your father.
Father, anyway, why would you do it? Yeah. And people would say that. Or, no, we need you and we can't afford to have you gone. I said, I didn't care whether work got done or not. She was a person and she needed it.
Do you think that closure helped her perform better at her job?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It helped her perform better at her job because it showed that the company cared about her as a person, which always helps, and in particular that her boss did, me. Not because, yeah, as I said, it's not because I'm some great virtue, but at least sometimes the light shines through.
How often do you pray?
Pray without ceasing, as Scripture says. In one sense, I pray all the time, which mostly consists of being the awareness of God in my life and in other people and other things. In a more strict sense, I spend a fair amount of time praying because I'm repenting of something or the other, being a normal human being and therefore far from perfect. I also have some rituals of prayer. For example, I'm in a group that we've met for 25 years, once a month. We do contemplative prayer, which is silent prayer. And we study people, like Saint Teresa of Avila and things like that. And we do quiet prayer and contemplative prayer, and I've been doing it for more than 25 years. And that's an active form of prayer. It sounds passive, but it's not. It's a very active form of prayer. It lets the silence settle over you so you can hear the still small voice outside.
Yes. Do you share your stories when you were the CEO at Aletheon? Did you share your stories with your employees? Did
Sure.
you share the stories of believing in God? Did you tell them any of the stories on a daily basis or
No.
when it was needed?
I never brought it up. I always responded. For several reasons. First of all, my nature is to want to browbeat people hit people over the head with whatever I believe in making it right, regardless of whether I've changed my opinion in the past 5 minutes. That's just my nature. So I have to resist that nature of my way or the highway and all that sort of thing. So one of the things that becoming a Christian has done is change that property about me. So the answer is, I decided that if God wanted me to talk to somebody about X, that somebody would bring up X. I wouldn't, unless it was really egregious and I needed to, or like somebody badly hurt this person, then I might talk to them. But in general, I let them bring it up because I figured if God prompts them and me, that's a good thing.
When you're finding a partner for a new venture, do you ask about the religion, Dave? Do you care at all if they believe in God or if they're Christian or if they have some sort of belief that matches your belief? It doesn't have to be identical, but is that important to you?
It is important. My belief about businesses are that businesses are meant to increase shareholder value. That's why they exist. I believe that treating people with integrity, that behaving honestly towards your customers, taking care of your employees, being, if anything, overgenerous, all of those things are good for business. Now, they happen to also be moral and right and things like that. I would not choose a business partner because they were a co-religionist, and I would not dismiss a business partner because he was a member of a different religion or had none at all. Because all of those things have been true in my life. All of those things have happened. That's not what it is. But if somebody is openly hostile, if somebody were, the flying spaghetti monster nonsense, if somebody's behaving that way towards anybody, I don't care what their religion is, that's inappropriate, and that doesn't belong in business, and I wouldn't work with them. Not because they're disagreeing with me. You can disagree with me all you want, and it won't bother me, as long as I get to disagree with you too. But when it turns into hostility toward other people's religion, which I've never seen happen, I'll give you an example. We had a guy in my company who went away on vacation as Jeremy and came back as Jerica. After I got through rolling my eyes, it turned out that there were 3 people in the company that she was afraid of their reaction. And one of them was Sharon, who's our office manager. One of them was my friend Brian, and one of them was me. And Sharon goes, those are the 3 least people in this company to have an issue with you at all. Sharon, because she's just a wonderful Christian woman, would be caring about the person, not about any of the details and interests and things like that at all. It would never occur to her to worry about such things. Me, I'm a libertarian. I don't care what you do, as long as you leave me alone. I'll pray for you, fine. But I don't care what you do. Go right ahead. And Brian's so clueless he won't notice. So it was sort of no, So I've had people. He was worried because we were Christians. Worried, rather more silly. I mean, he got no pushback from anybody. Yeah. But quite frankly, he was a lot happier and a lot better looking as a woman. But I sang out of that one.
Let me guess. The trip was in Thailand?
I have no idea. No, he was doing it in the United States, so he was not actually. I do not know if he's by now physically been changed, but he hadn't been that. But at that point, he was just dressing up in women's clothing and wearing fake breasts. But he was quite a nice guy, by the way. And there's an example. I don't approve of that from an ethical or moral point of view. Yes. But he bears the image of God, and I'm going to treat him with that respect. Now, I'm under absolutely no requirement to say, yes, he's now transformed into a woman. I'm not going to force myself or anybody else to lie about the situation. But that doesn't mean I have to go out of my way to insult him. If he wants me to use the female pronouns, I'll use the female pronouns. Not because I think they apply, but because I like him, because I respect him, her, and we'll do it. We all have prejudices in favor of our co-religionists, or if you're an atheist, you're co-non-religionists. It's human nature. We all like to be part of a group, and we all hold up the people that are in the group. But I try to love or respect somebody not because they share my religion, but because they share the image of God.
Thank you so much, Dave, for telling me how being a believer has helped you through business ventures and becoming the man that you are today. Thank you so much for your time, Dave.
Yeah, thank you very much, and please feel free to sign up and turn on notifications and make polite comments.
Polite comments. Please and thank you. Thank you so much, Dave.